Hello there guys and welcome to today's live stream of IFMC. I am JWF1 and we are here for the first race of the Season 4 IFMC Championship, the Australian Grand Prix, and we've got 58 laps of action coming your way here today. We're finally back and we're raring to go. If you didn't see what happened in qualifying yesterday, it was a very entertaining qualifying session, but in the end Lewis Hamilton managed to grab pole number 14, I believe, or 15 of his IFMC career, with Max Verstappen in second place in the Martini, with his teammate Esteban Ocon third and Fernando Alonso in fourth. The top four consisting of Etihads and Martinis. Those two teams look like they're going to entertain themselves during the race, but we will wait and see indeed. As mentioned, 58 laps of action here at Melbourne. So, before we start then, guys, yes, it's back. Let's mute this, turn this up a little, and let's have a look at the grid for today's Australian Grand Prix. Here we go then. So on pole position, it's Lewis Hamilton with Max Verstappen in second. Esteban Ocon is in third with Fernando Alonso in fourth. Sebastian Vettel is in fifth with Nico Hulkenberg, his teammate, in sixth position. Valtteri Bottas in the Alien Eldorado is in seventh with Kimi Raikkonen in eighth. Teammate Kevin Magnussen is in ninth with Daniel Ricciardo and his home race rounding out the top 10 in 10th position. Sergio Perez is in 11th with Charles Leclerc in the improving shadow in 12th. Romain Grosjean struggling in 13th with Carlos Sainz Jr. in 14th position. The two AMPs lock out row 8 with Pascal Wehrlein 15th and Stoffel Van Dorn in 16th position. Brennan Hartley is 17th. Antonio Giovinazzi, confirmed Bud Light Line Motorsport, struggles in 18th position. John-Eric Verne struggling in 19th. Scott Dixon in 20th. And on the back row of the grid, it's Oliver Rowland and Ed Jones. And that is the grid for the Australian Grand Prix. So there is the grid then, guys, for the Australian Grand Prix. And the weather, let's have a look. It is raining here at Australia. We have rain here at Melbourne. So like last season, it is raining for the Australian Grand Prix to kick things off. But anyway, this should hopefully be a good race. So without further ado then, guys, let's get to the Australian Grand Prix. So, here we are then, on the grid then. It's Lewis Hamilton on the right, Verstappen on the left. Who is going to get the lead into turn 1 as we wait for the 5 red lights to go off? As we wait for them to go off, it's 1 light, it is 2 lights, it is 3 lights, it is 4 lights, and it is 5 lights. And for Season 4, the championship is go! And it's a good start from Hamilton. I think Hamilton's got quite a good start from Verstappen, trying to keep up with him now. And Alonso's got a fantastic start. Alonso gets a jump. Will he try and grab the lead in turn 1? Alonso outbreaking the rivals, and he does so. Alonso takes the lead into turn 1. A fantastic start. It's an Etihad 1-2. Hamilton has lost out. Ocon trying to get by on Verstappen. Good start from Raikkonen. He's up to 5th. Vettel and Hulkenberg have had terrible starts. They're down to 6th and 10th respectively, as everybody dances around. A good start from Leclerc. He's up to 7th. As meantime now, Verstappen trying to get back at Ocon. Ocon got him at the start of the race. As now we go down towards turn 3, and Verstappen grabs the place back off Ocon. Up to 3rd goes Max Verstappen, as Raikkonen and Leclerc goes up to 6th. He passes Vettel. Up to 6th place goes Charles Leclerc, as everybody gets through cleanly. No major incidents to report so far in this race. Verne close to the back of the field at the moment, as everybody's squaggling down the back, but it's Alonso with quite a gap in front. In fact, his teammate also breaking away from the 2 Martinis at the moment. It's 1 and 2 for Etihad. Will they finally get their first ever 1-2? That is the big question as they go through the right-hander, as the Martini seem to lose a little bit of time now to the Etihad. Raikkonen going quite defensive in the form of Charles Leclerc. We ride on board with the Monegasque driver now then, as they get as close to the wall as possible on this first lap now then, as they flick the car through the left-hander. And so if you heard my voice break at the beginning there, guys, but now as we go up towards the next chicane on the track then, Leclerc trying to keep Raikkonen on. It's that improving shadow doing a fantastic job up in 6th place. Meantime, Ocon still right on the backside of his teammate Verstappen. The 2 Martinis kind of entertaining themselves at the moment. Ocon, will he try and lunge down the inside? No, not thinking about it at the moment. Meantime, Leclerc Leclerc going defensive because Vettel wants to get back at him for P6 if he can. Not been a good start for both Martinis, that's for sure. Hulkenberg all over the backside of Suomi, so EMR desperate to get back up the field as best as he can. Grosjean's had quite a good start. Not a good start for Ricciardo. He's down to 13th place at the moment. Giovinazzi has also had quite a good start. The two Mars Grand Prix cars in their first race, rounding out the back of the field. But at the moment, and at the end of lap 1 of 58, it's Alonso who leads from Hamilton in second, Verstappen third, Ocon close behind in fourth, Raikkonen fifth, Leclerc sixth, Vettel seventh, and Bottas rounding out the top 8. Meantime, Vettel all over the backside of Leclerc. Leclerc defending the inside in towards turn 1. Will he try and defend the position? He does so. He keeps on the 6th place from his fellow Mercedes-powered driver, Sebastian Vettel, not Velo, as they now come out of turn 2 now. Then Vettel trying his best to get into the solution of Leclerc if he can. Meantime, Ocon back down the inside of his teammate. Down the inside goes Ocon, and he grabs the place off Verstappen. Up into 3rd place goes Esteban Ocon. He gets back onto the podium, and up to 3rd goes Esteban Ocon, getting through on Max Verstappen. And pulling a bit of a gap now is Esteban Ocon compared to his teammate. Vettel still stuck behind Leclerc at the same time. They're both trying to chase down Kimi Raikkonen for P5 in the Suomi at the moment as they go up towards the right hand. The Bottas doing a good job. Hulkenberg's up to 9th. He's got through on Kevin Magnussen, up into P. Number 9 then goes Nico Hulkenberg. And I can't quite tell if they're on wets or inters or even the monsoon tyres as well, because there are monsoon tyres on this game. Meantime, Vettel down the inside of Leclerc. Will Vettel get the move done? And he does so. Up to 6th place goes Sebastian Vettel. He gets the move done on Charles Leclerc. So up to P6 goes the German as he now tries and chase down Kimi Raikkonen for P5 in the Suomi. And, well, the Mercedes power seem to have done quite a good job in testing for EMRs. Meantime, Bottas is now trying to have a go at Leclerc for P7 if he can. Same as Hulkenberg, who's on the backs of 3 guys, finding it out for 7th. Clearly, the disadvantage of the shadow catching up to them now. Then Leclerc just trying to drag the car up as best they can. Meantime, Grosjean starting to close up on his Haas teammate in real life, Kevin Magnussen, going up towards the 4th last corner. Bottas down the inside of Leclerc, and Bottas grabs 7th from Leclerc. Up to P7 goes Valtteri Bottas, and now Leclerc's under pressure from Nico Hulkenberg behind him at the moment. As meantime, look at this now. Ocon starting to close up onto Lewis Hamilton now. Hamilton starting to drop back a bit from Ocon. Ocon has some brilliant pace. I wonder if he's on a light fuel load. We'll check the fuel loads in a little bit now then. As meantime now then we need to go back to this battle for 8th because Hulkenberg's trying to line up Leclerc for a pass for P8 if he can, coming out of the last corner now then heading down the pit straight. Will Leclerc lose the place to Hulkenberg? Looks like he's getting away from him down straight. In fact, Leclerc's tagged on to Bottas' slipstream now. As they go down towards turn 1, Leclerc trying to dive it down the inside. Not going to quite work. Meantime, Ricciardo down the inside of Grosjean, and Ricciardo takes 11th from the Frenchman. So up to P11 goes Daniel Ricciardo. So, let's have a look at the fuel loads as Ocon continues to close down on Hamilton. As we lost a few frames there, I do apologise, but Alonso continued to pull away out in front. So, Alonso on 29.6, his teammate on a similar strategy, but running less fuel. Ocon quite on a light strategy on 17.6, 28.6 for Verstappen, 28.6 for Raikkonen, 29.6 for Vettel, 28.6 for Bottas. Hulkenberg on a light fuel load, and he's up into P8, getting by on Leclerc on 17.6, 31.5 for Leclerc, so he's on a heavy fuel load, 29.6 for Magnussen, 23.6 for Ricciardo, 30.5, 20.5, 22.5, 29.5, 23.5, 29.5, 23.5, 18.5, 27.5, 18.5, and 29.5. In fact, Dixon trying to launch a move on Verne if he can. There's a bit of a battle going on in front of them as well. Dixon down the inside of Verne. Verne having none of it, hanging it around the outside at the present moment. Hartley's attacking Giovinazzi in front. As meantime, Ricciardo all over the backside of Magnussen, unable to find a move there into that corner. Meantime, look at Hulkenberg now starting to line up Bottas for P7 now. Then will Hulkenberg get the move done on Bottas? Down the inside goes Nico Hulkenberg in towards the right-hander, and he does it. Up to 7th place goes Nico Hulkenberg, and so far both the EMRs are in the top 8 at the moment. Meantime, look at Ocon now starting to line up Hamilton perhaps for a pass and trying to ruin any opportunity the Etihad's trying to grab the first 1-2, but at the moment Ocon not close enough to this time around to the back of the Etihad of Hamilton as they now head down the pit straight now then up towards turn 1 we go on the track. Ocon trying his best to get the 2 Etihads in front and trying to make sure he makes this light fuel load work out for him at the moment, as it looks like the Martinis have split the strategy between both of their drivers now then. As meantime, Ricciardo back down the inside of Magnussen, and can he grab 10th from him? He can. Ricciardo up to P10. As meantime, looks like Sainz down the inside of Grosjean. Has Sainz got the place off Grosjean now? And he has. Up to 12th goes Carlos Sainz Jr. And now Ricciardo's next target will be fellow Etihad employee Charles Leclerc, as they now just go through the right-hander now. Then Hulkenberg, not quite a bit behind teammate Vettel, as Vettel tries his best to chase down Raikkonen, but Raikkonen keeping the gap honest at the moment. Ocon, meantime, Hamilton doing a good job holding him off at the moment as they go through the right under on lap 4:58 here at Melbourne. And so far, Alonso, the defending champion, leads the race at the moment with teammate Hamilton in second. It's an Etihad 1-2, but Ocon with his lighter fuel load trying to ruin things at the moment as they go through the left-hander now. Then Ocon really trying to pressurise Hamilton. It seems that the BMW engine still no match for the Ferrari power down the straight at the moment. That's what's possibly keeping Hamilton in front of Ocon at this stage, as now they just go out of the chicane now. Then up towards the right-hander we go, as the sparks come off the back of Ocon's car there, trying to pressurise Hamilton as much as possible now. Then as they go out of the right-hander now, then up towards the third to last corner, Ocon trying as much as he can to line up Hamilton for a pass. And the top four keeping each other, well, top three I should say, keeping each other always. Verstappen starting to go off a cliff a little bit here and starting to lose time to the top three in front of him. As Ocon now then through the last corner and onto the pit straight we go. Is Ocon going to prepare a lunge onto Lewis Hamilton for P2 now? Then to head down the pit straight now then. And again, it doesn't appear like Ocon is close enough to Hamilton that time around then. As meantime, what's happened to Vettel? Vettel's nowhere. Has something happened to Sebastian Vettel? Where is Vettel on the track? And he's spun! Vettel has spun in towards the fourth to last corner. Vettel has had a spin. What has happened to Vettel? And he's struggling to get the car pointed in the right direction. And is his Australian jinx coming back to haunt him here this season? And, well, do you have a replay? No, it was unknown. It may have been he caught a wet patch in the fourth last corner. Must have caught some standing water or something like that. And Vettel has gone off for a spin. And, well, that's not the start Vettel wanted, considering how EMR have improved for this season with a new partnership with Mercedes. And, well, that's pretty much that then. So Vettel trying to get the car turned around, has been able to do so. Let's have a look. And he has done, but Vettel is now down in last place with a lot to do. So Vettel now in last place. Meantime, Hamilton going defensive because of Ocon. He's putting Hamilton under immense pressure now then, as his battle for second place still continues between the pair of them now then, as they head up towards the right-hander. And so that's that at the moment. Hulkenberg up to 6th for the result. Leclerc now finds himself back in the points, but he looks like he's going to be put under pressure by the hometown favourite, Daniel Ricciardo. And, well, that's that then. So Ricciardo trying to pile the pressure on Leclerc as much as possible now. Then Sainz now all over the backside of Magnussen. Sainz also having a good race. Both Shadows seem to be having quite a good race. And I think also Shadow has split the strategy between their two drivers of Sainz and Leclerc. And Sainz in his first top class race doing a fabulous job at the moment as he just goes through the right-hander now then. And still trying to pile the pressure on Magnussen as much as possible now then, as they'll go through in towards turn number 1 and... Sorry, not turn 1, through the right-hander and left-hander. It looked like Magnussen had better traction there compared to Sainz. So that's that at the moment. Meantime, Ocon's up to second. He passes Hamilton up to second place. Goes Esteban Ocon. We didn't quite see it. It must have been down at turn number 8, I believe it is, or turn 9. And Ocon is up to second place. He splits the two Etihads. And up to P2 goes Esteban Ocon. His next target, if he's able to make this strategy work out, is an old rival of his. These two have made contact in the past. It's Alonso. It's Alonso that Ocon is going to try and chase down. He's hoping to not make any contact with him this time, if that is the case. But up to P2 goes Esteban Ocon. And so that's that. So now as we go through the next few corners on the track. And... so that's that at the moment, as Ricciardo now really pressuring now on Leclerc. And I don't know if Hamilton's now starting to drop back a little bit of time to Max Verstappen, who's currently up in 4th place, because Verstappen looked a little bit closer to Hamilton as we viewed them last time at this last corner here. But Ricciardo now, is he ready to line up Leclerc perhaps for a pass down in towards turn 1 as he tries to get himself into the points after what had been a tricky qualifying session for the Australian now then, as they head up towards turns 1 and 2 on the track. And Ricciardo doing his best to get the guy in front of him at this stage as he goes through turns 1 and 2 now then. Meantime, yeah, it's very clear that Verstappen is starting to close up a little bit onto Lewis Hamilton. So, in fact, both of them are running similar fuel loads, but it appears that Verstappen must have some more pace than what Hamilton has to offer. And look at Ocon now as he starts to chase down Alonso for the lead of this race now. And so Alonso could be feeling the pressure a little bit from Ocon. He was in a similar situation last season when at one stage Di Resta was trying to pressure him, and then later on it became Grosjean who was trying to pressure him down, and that was before their teammates respectively managed to get the jump on them in terms of the changeable conditions, which left Hamilton in first and Leclerc in second. In fact, it was Leclerc that was chasing him down, but Leclerc was able to mount a fight back to get himself up into second place, as Ocon now then goes through the chicane as he still tries to chase down Fernando Alonso at this stage of the race, as we'll soon be starting lap 7 of 58 here at Melbourne. And Ocon now then just getting the car through the right-hander, and now through the final few corners then, and we'll have a look and see what the gap is like between Ocon and Alonso as you just go up towards the final 2 corners. And Ocon really piling the pressure on now, and he wants to make this light fuel load work, and he's doing everything in his power to ensure it does, as he just comes out of the final corner and onto the pit straight. Let's see then what the gap is like between Alonso and Ocon as they head down towards turn 1 on the track. The gap between the pair of them now then, let's have a look, is now, let's have a look, it's 1.2 seconds between Alonso and Ocon, 1.7 between Ocon and Hamilton, as Verstappen trying to close up as much as possible. Meantime, look at Ricciardo now, really starting to pile the pressure on Leclerc. Will he try and get him up towards turn 3, perhaps, as they go through the left-hander? Is Ricciardo going to try and grab 8th place from Charles Leclerc? Let's see now then as they head up towards turn 3, and it doesn't look like Ricciardo is close enough to pass Leclerc this time around, as Sainz is losing time a bit now to Magnussen, who's only onto that top 10 position. Meantime, what's Vettel doing in his progression? He's starting to close up now to the rest of the pack, and for some reason Perez is down in 21st, so he must have made a mistake, as Perez is now down to 21st. Must have caught some standing water himself, and well, that's that for him really. Meantime now then, Ocon going through the chicane as he tries to close down Fernando Alonso. Same with Verstappen on Hamilton at the moment behind them, as Hamilton's losing time now to the top 2. As now Ocon goes up towards the chicane now, then Ocon really trying to pile the pressure on Alonso if he can. And you can definitely tell he's getting closer and closer now to the back of Fernando as they now go up towards the final 4 corners then. Ocon really piling the pressure now on Alonso. And is the Frenchman going to try and grab the place off the three-time and defending champion Fernando Alonso? And now look how close he's getting. He's hoping he doesn't make any contact like he has done in the past with him, once in last season and a few times in season 2. He'll be hoping that's not the case now that he's up with him at the moment, considering this Martini has some really good pace behind it. As they now come out of the last corner now, then Ocon preparing to launch an attack on Alonso. Will he try and get him towards turn 1? And it looks like he's not close enough this time around, clearing the BMW engine, keeping Alonso in front for the time being now then. And Ocon goes through turns 1 and 2 on the track. Is Ocon going to try and grab the place off Alonso as he head down the back straight now then towards turn 3? Ocon lining up, he goes down the inside. Is Ocon going to grab the lead from Alonso? Down the inside he goes, and he does it. Ocon takes the lead here in Australia. Ocon leads the Australian Grand Prix. He gets the move done. Now he's got to start pulling away if he wants to make this light fuel load work compared to the rest of them now then. Ocon is flying at the moment and he's starting to pull away now from Fernando Alonso. Meantime, Verstappen, his teammate, starting to close up now onto Lewis Hamilton's 3rd place as they now go up towards the right-hander. And Verstappen trying everything in his power to get Hamilton as they go through these next section of corners now. Then Hulkenberg still struggling to close up onto Raikkonen, who's currently 5th at the moment in the Suomi, as they now go through the right-hander. Verstappen trying to pile the pressure on as much as possible as they go out of the left-hander now. Then through they go. Verstappen looking like he lost a lot of time to Hamilton there. Hamilton had so much better traction coming out of that chicane, and I don't know if Verstappen caught some standing water or something like that. And on team by the cameras, Ricciardo's up to 8th. Ricciardo into the points, up to P8 goes Daniel Ricciardo. He gets by on Leclerc, and now Magnussen finds himself in a shadow sandwich with Leclerc in front and Sainz behind. Grosjean trying to close up as it looks like Giovinazzi is now broke away from Hartley and is starting to close up on his teammate. Bullock Motorsport seriously look to be struggling in this season after having their best season to date last season by finishing second. It looks like they're back to being a midfield team, it seems, and so far things not going well. Meantime, Dixon's having a good race up in 17th. He's now piling the pressure on Pascal Wehrlein, who's behind teammate Van Dorn, so he's obviously lost a place to him at the start of the race, or Van Dorn passed him a little earlier on. Dixon now starting to close up, and is he able to try and grab the place of Pascal Wehrlein for P number 16? How's Vettel doing behind? Well, Vettel's still got a bit to go to catch up, but Perez is also starting to catch up on his fight back as well. As we go through the final corners, we're losing a few more frames. I do apologise. As they now head down the pit straight, will Dixon try and grab the place of Stoffel Van Dorn as we head down the pit straight towards turn 1 on the track? And it looks like, again, Dixon not close enough to make a pass that time around, as Verstappen still stuck behind Hamilton at the moment. In fact, Alonso starting to drop back to Hamilton and Verstappen, so Alonso starting to lose some pace now to the rest of the pack as Hamilton and Verstappen start to close up, as they will now go up towards the right-hander. And is Hamilton going to try and get the place off Alonso, his teammate, as he will try and grab the victory? Remember, Hamilton won here last season in his first attempt in an Etihad, and he wants to do that again this season, but so far he's got to try and counteract Ocon's strategy as we lose a few more frames. I do apologise, as now through the chicane we go, and as you can see, the spray coming off the back of both of their cars at the moment as they'll now head up towards the next few corners on the track. Hamilton doing his best as the spray coming up behind at the moment is still losing some frames. I do apologise for the moment, as it looks like my internet's getting a bit weaker. As now through the final 2 corners then goes Alonso and Hamilton. Hamilton trying to see if he can grab the place off the Spaniard now then out the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. Is Hamilton going to get the place off Alonso? It looks like he's too far back to challenge. Shame for Verstappen on Hamilton, and I wish it would stop increasing the frames. I do apologise. As now going through the first 2 corners on the track, but Ocon is definitely flying out in front at the moment in P number 1. As for some reason in Bells, and out goes Charles Leclerc. Leclerc, the first retirement of season 4. What has happened to Charles Leclerc? He was running so well. Whereabouts is he on the track? And where is he? He's there. He's beached it down at the chicane. And Leclerc looks to have beached it as a result of running into standing water. And Charles Leclerc is out of the race. And we're down to 21 runners. And, well, that's not the way Leclerc wanted his race to end. It was all going so well for the Monegasque driver. But no points for Leclerc. And he's out of the race. And we're down to 21 runners. It does lift Perez and Vettel up a place, who are trying to mount a fight back at the back of the field, but that's that really. So end of the race then for Charles Leclerc as they now go through the next section of corners. Hamilton meantime still trying to chase down Fernando Alonso if he can, as they now go through the next section of corners. Through we go, and still not close enough to get onto him that time around. Meantime, his Hulkenberg starting to close on Raikkonen. He's closing up a bit, but still not within slipstream range of the Iceman, Kimi Raikkonen. As meantime, look at Ricciardo now. He's starting to close up on Valtteri Bottas. Ricciardo mounting a fight back as well. Remember, last season, he rolled at this corner thanks to Kimi Raikkonen at this bet, and he's hoping that doesn't happen again this season. As, well, it was a frightening crash from Daniel Ricciardo, but thankfully he was okay after that crash. And, well, that just shows the testament of how safe these cars are, and the fact that Ricciardo was able to walk away from such a crash. But now, as we go through the next section of corners now then, up towards the chicane, and out goes Ed Jones. Jones is out of the race. Is that him there? Or is that Leclerc's car? Ed Jones is out of the race. We're down to 20. So already 2 retirements in the space of 2 laps. And there he is. It is a transmission problem. And, well, the first Mars car is out of the race, and well, that's not what Mars wanted to see in their first race. One of their cars pulling off with a transmission problem. Ed Jones out of the race, and we're down to 20 runners as a result. So out of the race he goes now then, And so now, as a result, we are down to 20 runners. Meantime, let's get back to this battle for 7th between Bottas and Ricciardo. As confirmation there that Ed Jones is out of the race. As we will now go up towards the last 2 corners on the track. And I don't know when the stops are going to be going on. We're on lap 11 now, 58, because Ocon has just crossed the line to start that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he'll soon be starting his pit stop. In fact, he's got 10.1 litres left, so we should see him probably pitting around about lap 18. So in around 8 laps time, we'll be seeing the Frenchman go in. And so we'll wait and see on that. Remember, Ocon has only got 1 career victory so far in his IFMC career. That was when he was at Scuderia back in Season 2 at the Japanese Grand Prix. And he's looking to make it his 2nd and get Martini's 1st ever victory in IFMC. But he has to hope that this lighter fuel load that he's got going on will be able to pay off. Meantime, Ricciardo still trying to chase down Bottas, but Bottas still able to keep the gap consistent between himself and the Honey Badger. And at the same time, they're both of them trying to close up to Nico Hulkenberg if they can for P6, while he's busy trying to chase down Raikkonen in front. So at the moment then, there's lots of battles going on in the field and lots of interesting things going on in this race. We could be in for an exciting race in the wet conditions, but we will see. And as Ricciardo gets as close to the wall as possible now then, as he just negotiates through this left-hander and pushing as hard as possible, as he will now go up towards the chicane. And there's Leclerc's car there, parked up after beaching the car and obviously stalling it, I would presume. And that was the end of Leclerc's race as a result, as we'll now go up towards the right-hander. I'll be interested to see what the gap is like between Bottas and Ricciardo at this stage, as they now go through the right-hander. Out the corner they go then, up towards the final 2 corners. Let's see what the gap is like between Bottas and Ricciardo. Going out the final 2 corners then when they go. Ricciardo now round the final corner and onto the pit straight. And let's see what the gap is like between him and Bottas. Across the line they will go, and the gap between them, as they'll now head down towards turn 1, a 1:44.997 there for Daniel Ricciardo. Through turn 1 we go, and the gap between them is 1.1 seconds, 6.7 between himself and Kevin Magnussen behind, as Sainz is struggling to catch up to them at the moment. And obviously they've all lifted up a place. Sainz getting himself into the top 10 as a result of his teammate beaching it at the chicane a little earlier on. But that was that, really, as Vern's actually being lapped here. Vern down to last place at the moment. Has he made a mistake? I wouldn't be surprised, but he's down in 20th at the moment. Did he suffer from a problem? There's contact there between Raikkonen and himself there. A little bit clumsy from Jean-Eric Vern. He should have got out of the way of Raikkonen, and now it's allowing Hulkenberg to get up close to Raikkonen and take advantage. Will Hulkenberg grab the place of Kimi Raikkonen as they now head down towards the right-hander? Hulkenberg down the inside of Raikkonen. Can he get the job done? And he does. Up to 5th place goes Hulkenberg, taking advantage of what Vern did there to Raikkonen at that right-hander. That will have to be investigated, because that was very clumsy there from Jean-Eric Vern, and he finds himself yet again into the gravel. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's beached the car as a result, because he is in the gravel. And, well, that's that, really. A very, very clumsy move from Jean-Eric Vern. No, he's able to get the car going again, but still very clumsy from the Frenchman. And now goes Pascal Wehrlein. Wehrlein is out of the race with a loose wheel. Wehrlein out. We're down to 19 runners. AMP's miserable weekend continuing, and Pascal Wehrlein is out of the race, and we're down to 19 runners. He pulls off with a loose wheel, and that's Wehrlein's race out. And, well, that's the end of Wehrlein's race as a result there. So that's it. No points there for Jean-Eric Vern. Meantime, Verstappen still trying to close up a little bit onto Lewis Hamilton for P number 3. Meantime, back to this battle for 6th between the 2 Finns. Will Bottas now take advantage? Bottas close up. Raikkonen goes defensive. Bottas looking to the inside. Will Bottas get the move done on Kimi Raikkonen? Down the inside he goes in the Alien Eldorado. Down the inside, and he does it. Up to 6th place goes Valtteri Bottas, and now Ricciardo trying to take advantage of Kimi Raikkonen. You could say shenanigans at GRM for that, but as you can see now, Ricciardo down the inside of Kimi Raikkonen, not able to make the mistake there. Raikkonen just had enough of an edge down that straight to stay in front for the time being. And so that's that, really, as I'm still hearing bells in my ears. I do apologise. And Jesus Christ, I don't know why I'm hearing bells today in my ears. Meantime, Van Dorn, who's now the only AMP running, trying to close up onto Hartley, who's having quite a good race in the Early Monster at the moment. The IFMC GP2 champion from last season, having quite a solid debut after qualifying 17th on the grid, dragging the car up, and now so far finding himself up in 13th place at the moment. So that's that at the moment as we now go through the next corner. Bottas, of course, up to 6th place, and Ricciardo starting to drop back now from Raikkonen. It appears Raikkonen still keeping up with Bottas, and well, that's that. As meantime, looks like Verstappen's now lost time to Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton's still trying to chase down Alonso in 2nd place, and out goes Scott Dixon. Dixon's out of the race. Both Mars Grand Prix cars are out of their first race here in IFMC. What has happened to Dixon? Whereabouts is he on the track? And in fact, where are the yellows? He's there. Look, I can just about see his car there from the background of Sebastian Vettel there. And let's see if we can try and get onto him now. And there he is. It is another transmission problem. So both Mars Grand Prix cars pulling off with the same problem. And it's transmission that is taking care of both Mars Grand Prix cars. And Scott Dixon is out of the race. And we're down to 18 runners as a result. Down to 18 in this race. Meantime, back to this battle for 2nd place between the two Etihads of Alonso and Hamilton. Ocon pulling away out in front, but he has a light fuel load. He's trying to make it work as he's now on lap 14 of 58 here in Melbourne. So far, he seems to be flying out in front. He's got an 8.2 second cushion in front of Alonso in this race. As you can see, the spray coming off the back of every car at the moment in this race. And so that's that really as we go through the right-hander. Meantime, Hamilton trying his best to close up onto Alonso if he can. But that's pretty much that. Meantime, Raikkonen and Ricciardo trying to get back onto Bottas if he can. You can tell how much Eldorado have been struggling as the pace is starting to ail them again. As they come out of turn 2, up towards turn 3 they go. Will Raikkonen try and get the move done on Valtteri Bottas? And again, doesn't look close enough. In fact, Ricciardo now trying to size Raikkonen up for P7 if he can, as he got right into the slipstream of the Iceman there. Maybe if he's lucky, can try and line him up for pass down into turn 9, where most of the overtaking has been done today, or maybe even to this corner here. We know what happened last season between these two, where Raikkonen took Ricciardo off, but that right there is a beautiful move from Daniel Ricciardo around the outside. Surely an early overtake of the season there. Up into 8th place goes Daniel Ricciardo, 7th place, sorry, goes Daniel Ricciardo. That was an amazing pass on Kimi Raikkonen, and that wasn't even with a problem as well. That was just a pure overtake. Ricciardo just had the confidence there to drive around the outside of Raikkonen, and up into 7th place goes the Australian. That was a fantastic move from Daniel Ricciardo, and now Raikkonen's starting to lose time. Next time for Ricciardo is Valtteri Bottas in 6th place at the moment. As meantime now Hamilton trying to close up onto the 3-time champion, still unable to find a way past on Alonso. We ride on board with Lewis Hamilton as he will now go through the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. And let's see then, as Hamilton will now cross the line, and again not close enough to his teammate. Maybe has to wait for the pit stops to kick in, but we are aware that maybe around the 4 laps time we'll be seeing Ocon dive into the pits for his first stop, as he's on a light fuel load. Again, the frames are continuing to drop. I do apologise for that. And so now through the right hander then goes Ocon as he continues to pull away out in front, trying to make this strategy work if he can. And so that's that really, as they now go through these next section of corners. And so that's that really. So as you can see, Ricciardo currently 7th at the moment, and Raikkonen 8th. As you can see, Bottas looks like he's got a bit of a gap now to those two that were having a fight a little earlier on. But it looks like now Ricciardo's starting to get his foot down and will try and chase down Bottas for P6. Said Ricciardo twice there in that sentence. But Alonso now then getting the car round the left-hander. And you can tell how much he's losing time to Ocon with that light fuel load that the Frenchman has. Meantime, Vettel still keeping the two Etihads honest, but still not in anywhere close to possibly mount an attack on them at the moment. The Etihads keeping him back with a consistent gap at the moment. And Verstappen, in his first race of Martini, well, in the top 4, but still not able to try and get the Etihads at this stage, as they now go through the right-hander. And Alonso currently in second place at the moment, still trying to fend off from Hamilton if he can. Going through the final 2 corners then on the track. Down the pit straight we go. And Alonso currently in second place with Hamilton third. And let's see then as Ocon in front again, continuing to pull away. What is the gap between them at the moment? And it's 10.5 seconds. Ocon continuing to pull away out in front at the moment. As meantime, what's the gap between Bottas and Ricciardo? As it looks like this battle for 6th place looks to be happening. As through turns 1 and 2 on the track, 1.3 seconds is the gap between Bottas and Ricciardo, with Raikkonen just dropping back further from this battle as his teammate could try and close him up for the final points position, with Sainz currently 10th. What's happening with Perez and Vettel at the moment? Well, they're up to 16th and 17th at the moment, still not able to get rolling at the moment. But Vettel's starting to close in on Perez for P16, so there could be a battle between these two in quite a bit as they go through out of turn number 2. Heading down the straight we go up towards the right-hander, and Perez now then currently in P16 at the moment, and now going through the right-hander, as you can see. As you can see now then, everybody's pretty much calming down a little bit, even though some are quite close into a battle at the moment. It appears that maybe they're trying to calm down a little bit before they can get into the pit stops, as now through the right-hander goes Lewis Hamilton as he tries to chase down Fernando Alonso as we go through the left-hander now then. And as you can see, is Hamilton close enough to make a pass? I don't think so at this stage. Maybe the pit stops will have to be the key. It looks like they're going to serve Hamilton first before Alonso, presumably because he was on pole and Alonso was down in 4th on the grid. That's probably the reason, but we will wait and see on that. Excuse me. Ocon now then around the left-hander. I predicted that maybe next lap he will be pitting for his first scheduled stop along with other light fuel runners, but we will wait and see as he just goes through the right-hander there up towards the next section of corners on the track. Ocon still out in front flying, and the spray continuing to come off the back of his car now then as he heads up towards the right left-hander. Through he goes then around the corner, and so far continuing to build a lead out in front at this stage as he just swoops the car in. And so far then, at the end of lap 17, this is what the leaderboard looks like then. It's Ocon who leads, Alonso 2nd, Hamilton 3rd, Verstappen 4th, with Hulkenberg 5th, Bottas 6th, Ricciardo close behind in 7th, and Raikkonen running out the top 8. Meantime now, Ricciardo, will he try and line up Bottas for a pass down into this right-hander now then? Is he close enough? It doesn't look like it. He's going to hang back for now. Maybe try and get him into turn 1 if he's lucky. But as I was saying, it's Magnussen in 9th, Sainz in 10th, with Grosjean in 11th, and it's Giovinazzi 12th, Van Dorn 13th, Hartley 14th, Rowland 15th, Perez 16th, Vettel 17th, with Verne in 18th position. We've had 4 retirements so far, and they were in the form of they were in the form of Ed Jones, Scott Dixon, Pascal Wehrlein, and Charles Leclerc. They were the 4 retirements that have so far happened in this race as the frames continue to drop. I do apologise, and says I've dropped 1.9% of frames, but in total it says it's Ocon now then through in towards turn 2 he goes as he rejoins in 6th place behind Bottas and in front of Kimi Raikkonen. I believe Hulkenberg is now into the pits. He's finished off his pit stop now then as he goes trundling down pit lane. And where is Hulkenberg going to rejoin? Hulkenberg rejoins in 15th place, just behind Oliver Rowland, so that's where he's going to rejoin after this pit stop. So rejoining 15th then is Nico Hulkenberg, and Perez now then heads down the straight, as is Sebastian Vettel and Verne. They've still not been able to get up, but as a result of Ocon going into the pits, it is now an Etihad 1-2 with Alonso leading ahead of Hamilton. So that's that really. Hamilton's still not been able to find a way by on the Spaniard at the moment. Verstappen still keeping them honest at this stage now then as they go up towards the right-hander. And now they go out of the corner then through in towards the next few corners on the track. And now up towards the final two goes Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. And let's see what these two are able to do. Let's see if Hamilton is able to get up close to Fernando Alonso now then as they head down the pit straight. And it looks like Hamilton not close enough to make a pass this time around, as they'll now head down towards turn 1 of the track. The spray still coming off the back of Hamilton now then. Through turns 1 and 2 then we go. And so out the corner then, heading down the back straight towards turn 3. As meantime, is anybody else in the pits? It doesn't appear like it at the moment, with Ricciardo up in 4th place at the moment, getting by on Valtteri Bottas. As up to 5th place there goes Esteban Ocon, as we've dropped a few more frames there. I do apologise, my internet's definitely not working out today. Ocon up to 5th, he gets by on Valtteri Bottas, as Raikkonen currently 7th and Magnussen in 8th place. Hulkenberg rejoined in 14th after his pit stop, as now into the pits comes Oliver Rowland, his first top class pit stop after spending 2 seasons in GP2, as he now just comes trundling down pit lane. His mechanics are waiting for him now then, as he will pull into his box. And let's see how quick the stop is going to be then for Ollie Rowland. And so let's see then, as the rain continues to pour down here in Australia. So let's see now then, as he finishes off his pit stop. It's a 10.5 second stop for Ollie Rowland. And let's see where Rowland is going to rejoin then. And Rowland rejoins in 17th place. And so Rowland rejoins in that position. As meantime, the top 3 still remaining the same at this stage. Verne, of course, is in 18th and a lap down, and has been causing quite a bit of trouble in this race. So that's that really, as I go through the final 2 corners then on the track. Through the final corner and onto the pit straight then goes Lewis Hamilton. And that's that really at the present moment. Just checking that we are online, which we are. So now down towards the first 2 corners, and Hamilton's still not close enough to make a pass on Alonso for the lead of this race. Is anybody else planning to pit this lap? Let's have a look. It doesn't appear like it at the moment. Nope. We're taking a little bit of a break then from pit stops, as Giovinazzi is down in 16th at the moment. So for some reason Giovinazzi is down in 16th place, unless he's made a stop, which I doubt. So for some reason Giovinazzi is now in 16th place. He must have gone off somewhere. Meantime, Vettel still struggling to find a way by on Sergio Perez as they go through the final 2 corners on the track. Through the final corner and onto the pit straight we go now then, and let's see what Vettel is able to do with Perez as he's trying to get up close to the Mexican now then, as they'll go up towards turns 1 and 2 on the track. And so through we go then, through turns 1 and 2, and Vettel's still not close enough to get Perez that time around, as Hulkenberg under pressure. Well, I say he's under pressure. He's got by on Hartley, so he's up into P12 there. So Hulkenberg not wasting any time whatsoever. Meantime, Ocon now starting to line up Ricciardo now for a pass for P4, as they will just go through the left-hander now. Then let's see what Ocon is able to do, as Ricciardo goes defensive in towards that chicane. Out the corner then, as we go through these next section of corners then, will Ocon get the place off Daniel Ricciardo then? And Ocon now down the inside of Ricciardo. Will he get the place? And he does. Up to P4 goes Esteban Ocon. So that's that for him. So up to P4 goes the Frenchman, as the spray continues to come off the back of his car now. Then up towards the final 2 corners then goes Ocon. And so let's see now then, as I go through the next corner on the track, up towards the straight then we go. And let's see then, as Ocon up to 4th. What's the gap between him and Verstappen in front, as he's trying to make this light fuel load work, as he's now pretty much in sync with the top 3 now. He's 11.67. He's got to find 11.6 if he wants any chance of winning this race. At the moment, it is an Etihad 1-2 with Alonso leading and Hamilton in 2nd place. But Hamilton's still trying to pile the pressure on the Spaniard at this stage, as Carlos Sainz Jr. is into the pits from P number 11. So into the pits comes Sainz, and the mechanics are getting ready to work on his car now then. as they wipe the visor and put on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. We're 11 minutes away from the 2 o'clock mark. We're on lap 22 of 58 here at Australia, so we are near the halfway stage of the race. As 10.2 seconds stop there for the Shadow Mechanics, where's Sainz going to rejoin, and Sainz rejoins in 15th place in front of Antonio Giovinazzi. So rejoining 15th is Carlos Sainz Jr. Hamilton now then up towards the final 4 corners on the track. Hamilton trying his best to get Alonso, as Etihad still looking for the first ever 1-2 in IFMC. Could today be the day, as both of them are on the same strategy and trying to see if they can stop Ocon. But having said that, Ocon is starting to close back up onto the top 3. It's going to be interesting to see which strategy works. Will it be Ocon's strategy, or will the top 3 try and get him back at the present moment in this race now then, as I go through the final corner on the track, as we head down the pit straight. And let's see then what the gap is like between Ocon and Verstappen, because Verstappen is the man in 3rd place now then. Alonso starts lap 23 of 58 out in front. Let's see then, the gap between them is now, let's have a look, through turn 2, not 8.2 seconds, so he's taken a lot of time out of them that lap around, as Alonso goes through the right-hander. And so now going up towards the right-hander then goes Fernando Alonso. So he tries to fend off from Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton still struggling to find a way by on his 3-time teammate Alonso at this stage of the race. As meantime Verstappen still trying to keep him honest, but it looks like he's losing a little bit more time now to the Etihad, it appears, maybe because of dirty air from Hamilton's car, who knows. But anyway, Hulkenberg getting up the field now. He's up to 10th place. Anybody who's into the pits, doesn't appear like it at this stage. I think everybody who's on a light field, well, I say that, in fact Perez is now going to be coming into the pits as he tries to fight back this lap. Meantime, I would expect Ricciardo to come in quite soon, because he's running, his fuel's looking quite low now at this stage of the race. Ricciardo now through in towards the chicane. It's going to be interesting to see how I'm going to upload the rerun later on, how I'm going to try and fit up the 2 parts with the amount of space I have on my computer, because I usually export it from Twitch onto YouTube rather than download it from Twitch and then upload it to YouTube. So that's going to be a very interesting dilemma, but we will wait and see on that, as Ricciardo now then goes through the final 2 corners then. Is he going to be pitting at the end of the next lap, which will be lap 24 of the race here at Melbourne? Through the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. And across the line goes Daniel Ricciardo. And so let's see now, they'll now head down towards turn 1 on the track. Through he goes then, and it's 7.4 seconds between himself and Ocon, and Ricciardo is pitting at the end of this lap. So Daniel Ricciardo in the GRM is pitting at the end of lap number 24. As meantime now, Ocon's not that far in front now. Verstappen's only come out of that right-hander now then, and you can just see Ocon there in the back. You can tell how much this strategy looks to be paying off for Ocon, as he's starting to close down on the top 3 at the moment. Ocon has a very good chance of winning this race and getting Martini's first ever victory in IFMC, which AMP have quoted to say it would be a nightmare if they got their first win before they did. And so far their nightmare could be coming true if Ocon is able to pull this off, as Perez is in for his first stop of the race. Vettel goes through because I don't believe he made a pit stop. Out of the pit lane then he goes, and let's see then where he's going to rejoin as he goes trundling down pit lane. And let's see then, so Perez rejoins in 17th place, obviously in front of Verne, who's a lap down amongst everybody else, down in 18th place. A disappointing race for him. And it's clear that he's made so many mistakes in this race today. But now we need to go and check on Ricciardo, because he's pitting at the end of this lap. And, of course, what's happened to Bottas? Bottas is spun down in the chicane. Bottas has gone off at the chicane, and he's done the same thing as Leclerc. Caught a wet patch down at the chicane. It's very lucky that nobody has collected him so far, as the two Suomis go through and are up into the points as a result. But Bottas has gone for a spin, and, well, it looks like he's going to get the car going again, but he's now down in 10th place at the moment, and he's gone a little bit straight on there. The momentum still getting the better of him, as Bottas now having to wait for everybody to go through again, and that was so close with a monster car there, as Vettel having to swerve around as well. Bottas now down to 13th place, and it is a nightmare for Eldorado as a result, as we dropped a few more frames there. And just notice in the meantime, Daniel Ricciardo is now into the pits for his first stop, and he's expected to make a 2-stop as well. To make a second stop as well. I presume the guys in front are just going to be 1-stopping, but we will wait and see as more frames are continuing to drop at this stage. I do apologise as Ricciardo rejoins from his box, and let's see then where he's going to rejoin then after this pit stop. And he rejoins in 10th place now then. So rejoining in 10th is Daniel Ricciardo, just in front of Sebastian Vettel. He's still trying to make a fight back as into the pits goes Stoffel Van Dorn. I apologise, more frames are still dropping, and I'm worried that this one might disconnect as well. So that's that then, and these frames are just out of control at this stage now then, as he just goes trundling down pit lane. Let's see where he's going to rejoin then. He rejoins in 15th place. Stop dropping frames, please. As through towards turns 1 and 2 on the track we go. And so rejoining in 15th, I should say, is Stoffel Van Dorn. Meantime, here's the top 2. And look how close Ocon has got now to the rest of them. Ocon really getting his foot down now then as I go through the final 2 corners on the track. And as I go down the pit straight then, let's see what Esteban Ocon is able to do. Is he going to try and grab 3rd place off Max Verstappen? Down the inside goes Esteban Ocon, and let's see, is he going to try and grab 3rd from his teammate Danny inside? And he does so. Up to 3rd place goes Esteban Ocon. He grabs the place off his teammate, so he's now up into 3rd place. And so now up in towards turn 3 then goes Ocon. So he goes up a place as a result, as they now go through these next section of corners. And now through the right-hander we go. And so far then, Ocon appearing to make his strategy work out at this stage of the race. So meantime now then, 6.8 litres are left in Alonso's car, but 6.5 litres are left in Hamilton's, and looks like Hamilton's been preserving a little bit more, because it seems that Alonso's closed up a little bit on the fuel load there, on the fuel load sides of things, as Alonso goes through the left-hander as they go through the chicane. And as you can see, it is in fact stopped raining, as you can see on the track. The rain has stopped, it has cleared away, and well, it looks like we could be getting close to interconditions at the moment, as the rain has cleared away. So maybe the Etihads can bounce back from this as a result, as it's now turned into interconditions. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But that's that really, as we go through the final 2 corners on the track. Through the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. And as you can see, we're still dropping frames. I do apologise for this. And that's that really, as we go through the first 2 corners on the track. And through turns 1 and 2 on the track. And as you can see, in fact, Alonso's actually starting to pull away a little bit now from Lewis Hamilton, because look at this, Ocon now all over the backside of Hamilton. Maybe he's had to go a little bit defensive there on Ocon. It's still raining at this part of the track, look, but it is starting to clear away just a little bit now. Then as I go through the right-hander now, then through the left goes Esteban Ocon. And let's see then, Ocon trying to pile the pressure on Lewis Hamilton now then. And again, I do apologise for the frames continuing to drop now then as I go through the right-hander. And so through the next few corners then goes Ocon. Will he try and grab the place off Lewis Hamilton now then? In towards turn number 9 he goes. Now he's going to stay single file this time around. He's not going to try and risk it into that corner as they go through these next section of corners. And so let's see then what Ocon is able to do. And so through the chicane we go. And let's see then, Ocon trying his best to get Hamilton in this race as he's trying to pile the pressure on the Brit. And Hamilton going defensive, and at the moment, in fact, Ocon didn't even consider trying to flick it back to the inside into that corner. Hamilton just fending him off at this stage as they go through the section of corners now. Then up towards the final 2 corners then goes Hamilton and Ocon. So now up towards the final corner then goes Ocon. Can he try and grab the place off Lewis Hamilton now then? Would he try and grab second off the off Lewis Hamilton? And let's see then, Hamilton defending the inside from Esteban Ocon, and Ocon still through the next few corners and on the track. Ocon still struggling his butt away past Hamilton. Hamilton just defending the car into the inside, but surely this time no. Again, Hamilton very defensive into that corner, and he keeps hold of second place for the time being. He is definitely holding up Ocon at this stage. He does not want him to make his strategy work out in this race as we go through the next section of corners then flat out through the right hander we go. And let's see then, is Ocon going to try and get Hamilton into this corner then? And no, again, Hamilton just placing his car perfectly as Ricciardo now sets the fastest lap of 1:39.377 for the Aussie. So Ricciardo now setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. As meantime now, Ocon finding a way down the inside of Hamilton. Would he get the place of Lewis? And he does so. Up to second place goes Esteban Ocon. So up to P2 goes the Frenchman. So he gets himself up to second place as a result now then, as I go up towards the next chicane on the track. And now Ocon starting to pile the pressure a little bit now on Fernando Alonso as they'll go through the next section of corners on the track. And let's see then, as we go through the next section of corners then on the track. And so now let's see what we can do then. Ocon, is he going to try and grab the lead again from Fernando Alonso? He'll be able to avoid contact with the Spaniard if that's the case, as we go through the next section of corners then on the track. Around the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. Ocon preparing an attack on Fernando Alonso. Is he going to try and grab the lead off him this time around now then? Ocon down the inside of Fernando Alonso. Is he going to get the lead from the Spaniard yet again? Down the inside into turn 1, and he does so. Up into the lead goes Esteban Ocon. Ocon yet again taking the lead of the Grand Prix. Is Hamilton able to try and capitalise and get his teammate? It doesn't look like it. Alonso still able to hold off second place from Lewis Hamilton at this stage, as Ocon now through the right hander he goes as the conditions continue, as it's still wet on the track, as you can see, judging by the amount of spray that's being kicked up at the rear. But into the pits this lap will go Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, according to their teammates. Graphic on the top, on the bottom right, and out goes Romain Grosjean. Grosjean is out of the race. What has happened to Romain Grosjean? And there he is. He's got a water leak. And, well, they had problems in Jerez, but it's a water leak that is taking care of Romain Grosjean's race. And Romain Grosjean is out of the race, and we're down to 17 runners as a result. So out of the race goes Romain Grosjean, not the way he wanted to start his weekend whatsoever, and he'll be able to bounce back in Brazil next weekend. And, well, that's that really. Meantime, Hamilton now, they're just going through the right-hander up towards the next chicane on the track. Hamilton trying to get as close as possible to Fernando Alonso as he goes through these next section of corners. And as he now goes through these next section of corners. And so now going through the next chicane on the track. And so now going through these next section of corners, as the spray continues to come off the back of his car now, then as he'll go through these next section of corners. Hamilton trying his best to get Alonso in this race now then, as he flicks the car through these final few corners on the track. Up towards the final 2 corners goes Hamilton and Alonso. Will Hamilton try and get the place? Well, in fact, he's coming into the pits this lap, so he won't even have a chance. So into the pits comes Hamilton and also Max Verstappen. This is going to be a battle of the mechanics between Etihad and Martini, who can get their man out in front first now then. As into the pits comes the pair of them now then for their first scheduled stop, and probably their only stop as well. Let's see how much fuel they take on. And yes, they are on a one-stop strategy. The rest of the guys were, other than Ocon. Hamilton in, Verstappen now into the pits as well. Let's see, it's a battle between Martini and Etihad. Who's going to get their guy out in front? Looks like Suomi are waiting for one of their guys to come into the pits. And so, as we wait now then, there is Hamilton's car. It looks like Hamilton's still going to be ahead, which he is. Verstappen had to wait, and Hamilton gets through in the end there then. And Hamilton's still out in front of Max Verstappen as a result. Raikkonen is the guy who came into the pits for Suomi. He's in for his one and only stop of the afternoon. And that's that then really, as he puts on a fresh set of wet weather tyres and fuel. Maybe a set of Inters, who knows. But in fact, I didn't really check with the tyres. I sometimes don't notice the difference. As EMR prepare, no, it's GRM in fact, preparing for one of their stops. I thought that was an EMR mechanics getting ready, but it's in fact GRM. So that's that really. Meantime, Alonso is pitting at the end of this lap for Etihad from second place. So Alonso expected to make his first and only stop of the race. Bottas is into the pits from 14th place, as is Jean-Eric Vergne in the GRM. So both of those guys are into the pits as Alonso flicks the car through the right-hander. And so going through these next section of corners then, and we'll be seeing Alonso dart into the pits for his next scheduled stop. And he'll be hoping that the one stop will pay off compared to Esteban Ocon. Alonso in. And let's see what the Etihad mechanics are able to do. Ocon is not scheduled to pit for around 10 plus laps, because he made a first, of course he's on a 2-stop strategy in this race. As again, I apologise for the frames continuing to drop here, as Alonso is in for his scheduled stop of the afternoon. And let's see then how quick the stop's going to be then for Fernando Alonso, as he puts on a fresh set of tyres and fuel. Where is Hamilton on the track? That is the question for Alonso at this stage. And it's a 13.9 second stop for Fernando Alonso. And where is Hamilton? Hulkenberg has stayed out. Hamilton is just down the pit straight. It's going to be close between Alonso and Hamilton. I think Hamilton might have done enough to jump him as they go down there. And he has done. Hamilton up into a provisional second place. Alonso rejoins in 5th, just in front of Verstappen. So he will be in 3rd. But Hamilton has jumped Alonso in the pits. And that will be second place for the Brit. Now he could possibly try and focus on Ocon if he can, and try and ensure that his 2-stop strategy isn't going to work. And now through the left-hander goes Hamilton now. Then Vettel is in for his scheduled stop as he tries to fight back through the field, as is Brendan Hartley in the monster car. So those two are in. Suomi, I think, are getting ready for Raikkonen to make a pit stop now then in this race, as Vettel on his one and only stop of the race finishes off his pit stop. And it could have been more for Sebastian, but it didn't happen. And as meantime now then, looks like a little bit of a mistake there from Sergio Perez, going a little bit deep, luckily able to catch the car there, but that could have been a lot worse there for Sergio Perez, as Vettel rejoins in 14th place, just behind Brendan Hartley, who was trying to chase down in the fellow Mercedes powered car. Vergne now down the pit straight, and he just crosses the line now. Then Giovinazzi finishes off his pit stop. And where is Gio going to rejoin? And let's see now. So Giovinazzi rejoins in 16th place, and Hulkenberg's not expected to make a stop either for a few more laps. He's currently in 2nd place at the moment. Same for Ricciardo. These guys are on lighter fuel loads to each other at the moment, as there is Ocon also on a light fuel load. Let's not forget the top 3 who are currently there at the moment. Ocon, Hulkenberg and Ricciardo are on 2-stop strategies. Ocon with quite a big lead in front. In fact, Hamilton now setting the fastest lap of the race. He's not wasting any time. He wants to try and close down that deficit on the Frenchman. Hamilton wants to win this race, and he wants to prevent Ocon from getting Martini's first ever Grand Prix victory, and will want to put the hold on that for now if he can in this race. As they go through the chicane, Ocon will probably be aware that Hamilton is the fastest man out on track at this stage, as he's now free from Alonso and Verstappen. Meantime, those two are starting to drop back now from Hamilton, and Alonso still keeping Verstappen honest in this race. And again, we're dropping frames like 1-0 at the moment, as now going through these next few corners on the track. And so Verstappen still trying everything in his power to get Alonso in this race as they go through these next section of corners. And Ocon, meantime, now then, with still a big lead out in front at this stage. And stop dropping frames, please, as now heading down towards turns 1 and 2 on the track now then. And so now heading down the back straight towards turns number 3 on the track. Ocon still leading the race quite comfortably out in front at this stage. And so through in towards the right-hander. And so now heading down the pit straight we go, as Ricciardo heads down towards turns 1 and 2 on the track. And let's see then, Ricciardo trying to get up close to Hulkenberg if he can, as Hulkenberg is the next man Ricciardo is trying to challenge. Coming out of turn 2 then we go. And we'll now head up towards these next section of corners now then on the track. And through we go then into these corners. And out the corner then. Through in towards the right-hander we go. And so now going up towards the right-hander on the track. And Ricciardo's still struggling to find a way by on Hulkenberg at this stage of the race. Meantime, Hamilton continuing to go quick out there at the moment. And as you can see, he just goes through the chicane. Out of the corner then, heading up towards the next chicane on the track. And up towards the left and right-hander on the track. Hamilton now starting to catch up to 3rd and 4th of Ricciardo and Hulkenberg now then in this race. As the sparks come at the back of the car, Hamilton wants to win this race, and he will do everything in his power to ensure he can do that today. Ocon now then on lap 34 of 58 here at Melbourne, and he will be pitting around about lap 39 for his second stop of the afternoon, second and final stop of the afternoon I should say. And he'll take on a little bit less fuel than what the rest did on their one stop, but I believe he could have a battle with Hamilton, just depending on the pace that Hamilton is putting out at the moment. He's pumping out some quick laps, as in fact Hulkenberg is in, so Hamilton now gets up into 3rd place as a result, bails out before Ricciardo or Hamilton had an opportunity to pass him. Ricciardo hoping to take advantage and see if he can try and jump him into the pits. But he's taking on not that much fuel, in fact. So he looks to be on a free stop, actually, is Nico Hulkenberg. So it looks to be a free stop strategy for Nico Hulkenberg in this race. So running a lot lighter than what Ocon and Ricciardo are running. So a very interesting strategy for Nico Hulkenberg. Where's he going to rejoin? He rejoins in 7th place, just in front of Raikkonen. He was just alongside him at the exit of the pits there. But Hulkenberg stays in front for the time being. As now look at Hamilton starting to chase down his fellow Etihad employee and could be future teammate if Hamilton re-signs for next season. That man being Daniel Ricciardo, who's joining Etihad next season, replacing Alonso, who jumps off to IndyCar. But as you can see now, then up towards the next chicane on the track. And for those of you who think it's quite uncommon for Etihad to sign a driver 2 seasons before he joins, it's not really, because in Formula 1 it's happened on 2 occasions. In 2003, Montoya signed for McLaren to join for them in 2005, and the same with Alonso. In 2005, he signed for McLaren to join for them in 2007, so it's not really uncommon. Etihad just taking a leaf out of those two's books there, really, if you think about it, with Ricciardo and even with Hamilton back in season 1. Because they signed him 2 seasons before he joined the team. But now Hamilton coming out of the final corner as he tries to hunt down Ricciardo for that place now. Then what is the gap between him and the Honey Badger as we head down towards turns 1 and 2 on the track? As Alonso now and Verstappen set the fastest lap of the race. So the one-stoppers now starting to put in some red-hot laps. 1.3 seconds is the gap between Hamilton and Ricciardo at this stage of the race. Alonso and Verstappen trying to close him down as well, as they look to try and get themselves a piece of the pie if they can, as they want to win this race as well. As they now go through the left-hander, and Hamilton trying everything in his power to try and hunt them down. And meantime, Ocon has made a pit stop. In fact, Ocon has finished off his stop. In fact, we didn't realise this, but Ocon has finished his pit stop and is come out still in the lead with a 26.4 litres of fuel. So he's going to the end of the race, and Hamilton is not that far behind him. So Hamilton can see him. He just needs to get by on Ricciardo if he wants to win this race. I do apologise. We didn't see a graphic on the top which said Ocon was into the pits. But that was that, really. Van Dorn finishes off his stop, as does Perez. Those guys are finishing off their pit stops to get to the end of the race now then. Meantime, Ocon still leading the race. But here's Hamilton. And it looks, in fact, like a dry line is starting to emerge. So maybe later on in the race, we may see a change of dry tyres during the race. Because you can just see on the track log, there is a dry line starting to emerge on the track. Giovinazzi now setting the fastest lap of the race. The track is getting quicker out there because the track, as you can just see there, is starting to dry out. So it could add another element into this race. We've got a similar situation to what we had back last season, when it was all about who could call the conditions right, and in the end Hamilton definitely called it right between himself, teammate Alonso, and Grosjean as well. Leclerc also called it as well. Alonso now the fastest man out on track, a 1:37.817. He's starting to close up now on his teammate Lewis Hamilton and starting to leave Verstappen for dust now in this race. Hamilton trying to get the place of Ricciardo, but Ricciardo keeping the gap honest at the moment. Ricciardo isn't scheduled to make a pit stop for another few laps. He's trying to stay out there, as we know that Hulkenberg is on a free stop strategy. He hopes that he's still out in front. He's hoping to get out in front of the free stop at the moment. In fact, Hulkenberg setting the fastest lap as well, speaking of which, with a 1:36.466. So the track is definitely getting quicker out there at the moment. Could we see a change of dry tyres soon? Well, it's still raining at this part of the track at the moment, but it is not raining at some other parts as well. So it's a mixture of conditions here in Australia, as Hamilton's still trying to pile the pressure on what could be his future teammate next season. Through the next few corners then on the track, as getting close to the wall as possible, you can just see there, as you can see, still the dry line emerging as they go up towards the next chicane on the track. And so through the chicane we go, coming out of the corner then, using as much of the right hander as possible. And so now going through the last 4 corners on the track, and let's see what Hamilton is able to do then on this lap, as he goes through the right-hander now then, going up towards the final 2 corners then on the track. And through he goes then, as Ricciardo's in. Ricciardo has dived into the pits for a scheduled stop then, unless it could be for a change of tyres, who knows. But Hamilton is free now, and he's now starting to chase down Esteban Ocon, as is Alonso and maybe Verstappen as well. Into the pits goes Daniel Ricciardo for his second and final stop of the afternoon on lap 37 now we are on of 58. Let's see then. Yes, he's fueled to the end of the race. Did that look like a change of compound on his tyres there? I'm not 100% sure, but his mechanics getting to work on his car now then. And let's see then, it is a 11-second stop for Daniel Ricciardo. This first race has not failed to impress so far. It has been a very impressive Australian Grand Prix, and we have a battle for the lead here in Australia, as Ricciardo rejoins in 6th in front of Raikkonen. But Hulkenberg has got a big gap in front of him. He's trying to make his free stop strategy work, so a maximum for Hulkenberg could be 5th place in this race in the EMR, as Ricciardo rejoins in 6th, just in front of Raikkonen and Magnussen, both Suomis bringing out the points positions at the moment, as Hamilton now trying to get his foot down. It is starting to rain again, in fact, here in Australia, so the rain is starting to pick up again here at Melbourne, as now we go through in towards the chicane, and Hamilton trying everything to close up onto the race leader, who's just going through that right-hander there, as we now go through these next section of corners. And we'll be able to see in a little bit what the gap is like between the pair of them. Alonso still sticking with his teammate, as is Verstappen, who started to pick up the pace behind the pair of them at this stage of the race. We'll be interested to see then what the gap is like between Hamilton and Ocon as they just go through the final 2 corners then on the track. Down the pit straight we go, and let's see then the gap between Ocon and Hamilton now then as they head down the pit straight. What's the gap between the top 2 now then? So on lap 38 of 58, 21 laps to go in this Australian Grand Prix, including the lap that we're on. The gap between the top 2 is 9.5 seconds. We'll see if Hamilton is closing up to that gap next time around with his strategy. Ocon now then continuing to lead for the meantime. Whether this will be enough for him to take Martini's first Grand Prix victory, it remains to be seen as they go through the chicane, as the spray continues to come off the back of the car. And so now in towards the next chicane on the track. And so that's that really, as now Verstappen goes through the right-hander as he tries to chase down Alonso for the final podium place. And this race has definitely been a very exciting Australian Grand Prix here at Albert Park, Melbourne. And what a way to start off the Season 4 Championship for IFMC now then. As I go through in towards the chicane, I'm still going to try and figure what to do when it comes to the reruns, which come out later on. I'm going to have to try and clear some space off my laptop just to ensure that I get both of those clips downloaded and just put them together to ensure that they get uploaded to YouTube. Maybe later on tonight, of course, because there's a lot of things going on, including James's UAL, that I've got to ensure that the internet isn't crap for, because we know that uploading weakens the internet. It's a fact. No matter what internet you have, it does weaken it. As now down the pit straight as mechanics are in. Hamilton's back in, I think, because he's changing the tyres, of course, because it is getting heavier on the track. Hamilton is back into the pits. Hamilton changing his compound of tyres. Yeah, you just saw there the patterns on his tyres have changed. So the rain is getting heavier again, and it looks like it's going to have to be a change of strategy for everybody now. Hamilton on the wet weather tyres. I think he was on Inters on the previous one, but that looks to be the wet weather tyres he's now on in this race. Where's Hamilton going to rejoin then after this pit stop? Now things are getting quite interesting in this race. Hamilton rejoins in 6th place behind Daniel Ricciardo, but Hamilton looks to be on the right tyres and could try and take advantage if he can, as the rest of the guys are on the same tyres. Now through the left-hander we go. Ocon still leading the race at the moment, but will he be thinking of making a pit stop? Judging by the conditions, we'll have to wait and see. As well, always Australia brings in a turn for the worse when it comes to the weather. Last season it had the same effect, and this season it's passed on. So now Ocon up 16th at the moment. Yes, he's just made a pit stop at this stage, but he dropped back a little earlier on, let's not forget, because of a mistake he made after catching onto a wet patch at the chicane. Meantime, we view Esteban Ocon. As you can see, still calming down a little bit with the weather, as now we go through the section of corners. As Ocon now then going through the right-hander now then, and so far he hasn't been given the call to come back to the pit, as we have 18 laps to go in this race now. Then we know that Hamilton pitted for some wet weather tyres. We don't know if he's going quick out there, but he's 10 seconds behind Hulkenberg, so whether he's getting onto that gap, we'll have to wait and see on that as we now go through the left-handers. Meantime, Kimi Raikkonen is now into the pits to change his tyres, so he's on a new set of wet weather tyres. See where he's going to rejoin then after this pit stop. And let's see then, so he goes trundling down pit lane, and where is Kimi Raikkonen going to rejoin then? He rejoins in P number 11, and just in front of Perez. In fact, Perez having to slot behind for the time being at this time. Meantime, Ocon now then through the final corner he goes now. Then he's about so lap 42. He doesn't think about coming into the pits for changing his strategy around at this time, nor does Alonso at the moment. Meantime, Hamilton, we need to see if he's actually closing up quite a lot now to Nico Hulkenberg. We'll have to wait and see as he just goes round the right-hander now, then up towards the final 4 corners on the track. Then goes Lewis Hamilton, as now he goes through the right-hander. And let's have a look and see what the gap is like between him and Nico Hulkenberg. Remember, Hulkenberg is on a light fuel, so Hamilton will be up in 4th anyway, but we need to see what his pace is like on these sets of tyres now then, as he heads down the pit straight and across the line then goes Lewis Hamilton. The gap was around 10 points somewhere last time around. The gap now as he goes through turn 1 is 9.1, so he's definitely going quicker than the guys in front of him on these sets of tyres. He's gaining the gap onto Nico Hulkenberg at the moment, but at the moment it is still Esteban Ocon who leads the race here in Australia as we go up towards the next chicane on the track. And Ocon now then just goes down this straight now, then going up towards the final 4 corners on the track. And so now through the final 3 corners then goes Esteban Ocon, and he's actually coming up to lap in Antonio Giovinazzi. And last season the Bud Light Line Motorsport would have been up in the position where Ocon is, but this season it seems that the team has definitely gone backwards in terms of pace so far. In fact, both Audi powered teams appear to struggle this season at the moment in terms of development, as we now head down the pit straight now then, and Ocon crosses the line. And what's the gap between him and Fernando Alonso now then? 16 laps to go for Esteban Ocon. He's stayed out, not bothering to change the tyres at the moment. The gap between him and Alonso, let's have a look. Alonso currently 2nd on the road at this stage of the race. Is now, let's have a look, going through towards turn 3. Still nothing coming up. There you go. 18.8 seconds. That's a big lead he's got in front of the defending champion. Verstappen currently 3rd at this stage. Here's Lewis Hamilton trying to chase down Nico Hulkenberg if he can, coming out of the final corner. And let's see what he is able to do then as he crosses the line. And what is the gap now between himself and Nico Hulkenberg? In fact, it stopped raining again. So maybe this could be a bite in the bottom for Lewis Hamilton. But it's still raining down at turn 2. 7.5 seconds is the gap. He is absolutely flying at the moment. He's taken 1.5 seconds out of Hulkenberg's lead there that time around, as they go up towards turn number 3 now they're on the track. And now through the left-hander we go. And let's see, there's a Hamilton now then dancing the car through the right-hander. And so now going through these next section of corners then we go. And Hamilton now then currently in P number 5 at this stage, trying to hunt down Nico Hulkenberg in this race now. Then Ocon still leading the race out in front as he just goes through these next section of corners now then on the track. And out the final corner and onto the pit straight he goes. He's now going to start lap 44 of 58 now here at Australia. 15 laps to go for Ocon. And meantime now then, Hulkenberg 4th. There's Hamilton now then going up towards that corner. He's not that far now behind Hulkenberg's EMR, as he just goes through the right-hander. Hamilton currently flying out there at the moment on track. And but he's got a lot of time to gain if he wants to win this race. And so far Ocon is looking like he's not going to go into the pits and change his compound at the moment now then, as they go through the final corner then and onto the pit straight we go. Hamilton now then, let's see what the gap is like between himself and Nico Hulkenberg now then, as they go up towards turns 1 and 2 on the track. Through we go then around these first 2 corners. 6.3 seconds. So another 1.2 seconds Hamilton is taken out of Hulkenberg that time around. And Hulkenberg will be expected to pit in around about 3 laps time on lap 47. So whether Lewis can catch him before he makes his stop, it remains to be seen, as he just goes through the left-hander and up towards the flat-out right-hander he goes. And so now Hamilton going up towards the next section of corners then on the track. And let's see then what he's able to do as he just sizes through these section of corners now then. Up towards the right-hander we go. And Hamilton now then still P5 at the moment. As you can see, it's still raining at this section of the track, but it does look like it might be starting to slow down just a little bit now then. And but still Hamilton is flying on these sets of tyres. It's not phasing the Brit at this stage of the race now then. After getting pole position, maybe the win could be out of the question, as out goes Giovinazzi. No, he goes off. Giovinazzi's gone straight on. He looks like he's aquaplaned off into that corner. Sorry for that little technical fault there with RE Central, but let's have a look. Maybe did it involve Daniel Ricciardo, or did he just go straight on due to aquaplane? Let's have a look then. We ride on board with Antonio Giovinazzi. Let's see, going in towards turn 1, and he just aquaplanes off. He just catches some standing water, and Giovinazzi goes straight on and drops a place to Daniel Ricciardo as a result, and to Valtteri Bottas as well. So both of them gain a place as a result. Alonso now in second place, and Verstappen trying to harry him down, maybe to try and see if he can make it a Martini 1-2 if he can now then in his first race as a Martini driver. Meantime now then, we'll have a look at the gap between Hulkenberg and Hamilton now then as they head down towards turns 1 and 2 on the track. And let's see then, through turn 1 and then around turn 2 we go. 5.6 seconds now is the gap between Hamilton and Hulkenberg. So gaining some more time now is Lewis Hamilton, and pushing as hard as possible to get Hulkenberg in front of him at the moment. Meantime now then, and you can definitely tell it stopped raining, and there's now more dry lines starting to emerge around this track. And so it looks like the track is starting to get a little bit drier here in Albert Park. Could this cost Lewis Hamilton a chance of making it up the field? That is the question. He went for a gamble, but it might not pay off for Lewis Hamilton, but we will wait and see on that, as Verstappen still trying to chase down Alonso as much as possible now then, as Ocon now then just goes around the final 2 corners then on the track, as he's now trying to come up to lap Jean-Eric Vergne at the moment. As currently now Vettel is into the points, so he's made a good fight back to get up into 7th place, and so far Sainz is looking good for a points finish as well. Sainz currently up in 8th place at the moment, so Shadow looking good to get some points in the first race of the season. Magnussen looking good up in 6th place at the moment, outpacing Raikkonen. But at the moment, it looks like Raikkonen could try and spoil the front as he's mounting a fight back onto Hartley, who's currently up in 9th place. Hartley taking advantage of all the things that have happened in this race so far. As you can tell how much the track is starting to dry out now. We're coming up to the 3 o'clock mark. It's taken 2 hours now to finish this race due to the internet problems we've been having, which again I must apologise for, and I'll have to find a way to try and combine all 3 of these live streams to make one rerun video. But we'll wait and see as we go through the chicane. You saw there Hartley went defensive there on Kimi Raikkonen, as they're now going through the right-hander now then. And so as you can see now, Raikkonen flicking the car back to the inside, went to the outside, went to the inside, and Raikkonen up into P9. He gets through on Hartley, and up into 9th place goes Kimi Raikkonen in the Suomi now then. So he's up to P9 now. Van Dorn trying to chase down Hartley and salvage something for AMP. Is into the pits comes Sebastian Vettel. Vettel is into the pits. Is he going to try and change it? Try and get a change of tack? As now Vettel now then going into the pits. And is he going to change tyres? Let's have a look. He pulls into his box, and yeah, a change of compound. He's gone on to the intermediate. So Vettel changing his strategy around, and that's that really. As now going out of the pit lane then goes Carlos Sainz. Goes Sebastian Vettel. And as you can see, sorry if you heard the background there of Motorsport, it's got MotoGP on the background. Vettel rejoins in 12th place behind, well, he's a lap down now behind Esteban Ocon. He's now a lap down as a result due to this gamble, but he rejoins just in front of Ricciardo, who's just pulled a pass there on Oliver Rowland. So up into 13th place goes Daniel Ricciardo there in the GRM, but Ocon still leading the race at the moment as he has 12 laps to go in this Australian Grand Prix, and Martini just hoping and praying he can get the car to the finish to capture the first Grand Prix victory. And unless they might try and change tack as well, depending on how the game works, but he has got a big lead, so he could afford to do that if he wants to. As meantime, Hamilton is up to 4th because Hulkenberg is in, and he's going on to the set of intermediates now, it looks like. So both EMRs on the inters. He's in for his 3rd and final stop of the afternoon. Where is Hulkenberg going to rejoin in after this pit stop? Luckily for him, he'll still be out in front of Ricciardo because Ricciardo made a mistake a little earlier on in the race. So Hulkenberg, let's see where he's going to rejoin then. He finishes off his stop and he rejoins in 5th place, just in front of Kevin Magnussen, who's right behind him in 6th place. As meantime, Sainz up to 7th because of Vettel's pit stop. And so that's pretty much that then, really, as Ocon now then just going through the right-hander. Is the team possibly thinking in the back of their mind of maybe going on to the set of intermediates? I don't think Ocon is on inters at this stage. He might be. I could be wrong. But no change, no tack there for those guys to come in for a pit stop. So that's that for them, really. Vettel, in fact, I think Ocon was already on those sets of tyres anyway, because he didn't make a pit stop when Hamilton did. So I think Ocon is alright on the sets of tyres that he's currently on, but you don't know, of course. We'll have to wait and see. Meantime, Hamilton up to 4th place as a result of Hulkenberg's pit stop, and now he's starting to close up on 3rd place Max Verstappen. And Hamilton absolutely flying at the moment, trying to see if he can get back onto the podium if he can. Hamilton now then through the final 2 corners and on the track, around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Lewis Hamilton, as he will now head down the pit straight, heading in towards turns 1 and 2 on the track now then. Let's see then, up towards turn 1 then goes Lewis Hamilton, and so far then, let's see, the gap is 6.9 seconds between himself and Max Verstappen. His teammate Alonso currently splitting the 2 Martinis at this stage, and Ocon still with a big lead out in front. Clearly his strategy has worked to absolute perfection in the Martini, and so far looking good to get his, well, not his first victory, but the team's first ever victory in IFMC. And well, it'll be the first time in IFMC history that an Etihad has not led the championship after the first race. That will be something. As Ocon goes around the right-hander, it's starting to pick up again, the rain is, and it pretty much shows how much the conditions have been variating in this race now then. Vettel in 12th, trying to see if he can make this strategy work, but it might have come back to bite him as a result. But that's that, really. Hamilton now then negotiating through the chicane now then, out the corner, and as the spray picks up some more in this race now, then we go up towards the next section of corners, and Hamilton still in attack mode at the moment, trying to grab Verstappen for P3, and as you see there, a lot of flames coming out the back of his car there as he was changing down gears or just braking into that corner, and which is quite common for these cars when they either shifting down or braking into a corner. But now coming out the corner then, let's see, there's Verstappen in front. You just see the spray in front there, so if Hamilton's not that far to catch up, as we have 10 laps left in this Australian Grand Prix. The gap between Verstappen and Hamilton going in towards turns 1 and 2 is 5.6 seconds, so Hamilton has gained a lot that time around on Max Verstappen as he tries to get both Etihads onto the podium now, then heading towards the right-hander. And that would then give Etihad, I believe, if I'm correct, I could be wrong. No, I'm actually wrong on that regard. Martini would still lead the Constructors, even if Hamilton passed Verstappen, because 10 plus 5 is 15 and 8 plus 6 is 14. So still, it will not be enough for Etihad to take the lead in the Constructors after this race. But at the moment, as you can see, look how dry it is down at this part. Could we see potentially a change of dry tyres coming the way in this race at the moment? Because look how dry it's starting to getting around the track now, as Hamilton just goes out of this corner, then getting as close to the wall as possible. There's still spray around the track, but we could see dry tyres emerging before the end of the race now. Then Ocon, looks like Vettel's trying to unlap himself at the moment, trying to unlap himself on his former teammate Esteban Ocon, as they now head down the pit straight. Vettel looking to unlap himself at the expense of the race leader Esteban Ocon, as they now head up towards turns 1 and 2 on the track, and Vettel looking to get the lap, trying to unlap himself, it appears, as they head down the back straight now then towards the right-hander, and Vettel not close enough to unlap himself that time around. He had a little go, but thought better of it, as they now go through the left-hander now then. Vettel trying, as mentioned, to unlap himself from his former teammate Esteban Ocon, as now through the right-hander they go. Vettel looking to the outside to try on the lap. And contact's been made between Ocon and Vettel. Vettel and Ocon have made contact. Ocon's off the track. Luckily, he's got a big lead. That will have to be investigated for sure. That's 2 investigations needing to be done there. One with Vern and Raikkonen, and the other one with Ocon and Vettel now. And again involving a back marker there. So the back marker's causing some trouble then in this race, as Hulkenberg, Vettel's teammate, sets the fastest lap of 1:36.316 there. And so That's that then, as the spray picks up from the back of Ocon's car there. Luckily for him, that was a bit of a scare for Martini, but luckily for him, no loss of position there as a result. Meantime, back to Lewis Hamilton, who's still trying to hunt down Max Verstappen in this race. And so that's that then, really, as they go through the left-hander now. Then Hamilton trying his best now then as they go up towards the chicane. And Hamilton trying to get up close to the back of Verstappen as soon as possible. Now then, looks like the win is out of the question, but a podium, not. He's got a big chance with that one now then, as they now go through the right-hander. And let's see then what the gap is like between. Well, we're looking in a bit to see what the gap is like between Verstappen and Alonso. Sorry, not Verstappen, Alonso. Hamilton and Alonso. I do apologise as they go out of the final corner. Let's see the gap between the pair of them now. Then as they go up towards turns 1 and 2 on the track now. Then let's have a look. Is now through in towards turn 1 we go, and the gap is now 2.9 seconds. That's what the gap looks like between Hamilton and Verstappen. Hamilton gaining all the time in the world. Verstappen started to gain a little bit again onto Fernando Alonso's rear end. So that's that really as far as he's concerned. Hulkenberg looking secure in 5th place. Meantime, Raikkonen all over the backside of Carlos Sainz Jr. for P7. So far, both Suomis look like they're going to get a double points finish in this race. But Raikkonen looking to try and gain some more if he can as he goes through the right-hander up towards the final 2 corners. Then go Raikkonen and Sainz. And is Raikkonen good to pounce and try and take the place of Carlos Sainz Jr. as they go through the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. And let's see now, Raikkonen closing up now onto Carlos. He's closing up. Will he get the place? And he's not close enough that time around to make a pass on Carlos Sainz Jr. Hartley currently in 9th place at this stage. Van Dorn 10th. Perez 11th. Vettel in 12th place, starting to close up on that lap. He's obviously under investigation for what he did to Ocon there, his former teammate, as they now go out of the final corner and heading down the pit straight as they now go up towards turns 1 and 2 on the track. And Ocon still leading the race at this stage. And weather seems to like to vary here in Australia, as we've mentioned quite a few times in this race. Meantime now then, Hamilton still not close enough that time out of Verstappen, but he's getting closer and closer now to Mad Max, the teenage Dutchman, in the Martini, as they now head down the pit straight as we go up towards turns 1 and 2 on the track. And so through we go then, through turns 1 and 2 then go Hamilton and Verstappen there, and the gap between the pair of them that time around was 1.8 seconds. So 1.8 seconds separating the pair of them. We're dropping frames again, I do apologise. Luckily it's towards the end of the race, so if anything goes wrong, luckily we're near the end anyway, but this really needs to get sorted out for next weekend because this is a joke. Anyway, through the right-hander then they go, and Hamilton trying his best to close down Verstappen in the Martini. As now we just go through these section of corners as Hamilton looks to try and get the podium place off Max Verstappen in this race as we go through in towards these next corners then on the track, and using as much curb as possible, making sure he doesn't slip off them, of course. And the spray continuing to pick up here in Australia as I think Ocon is about to start lap 53 of 58, so 6 laps to go for Esteban Ocon to take Martini's first Grand Prix victory. And it's all looking to come true for Esteban Ocon in this race now then, as he's definitely made the strategy work as he goes through the first 2 corners then of the track. Meantime now, look at Hamilton starting to pile the pressure now on Max Verstappen as he goes through the final 2 corners then, trying to get up to the bumper of the Martini as best as possible round the final corner and onto the pit straight we go. Is Hamilton going to get Verstappen then? He tucks up into his slipstream now then. Hamilton Can he get that third place of Max Verstappen now then down towards turn 1? Not close enough to make a pass. Both of them go single file through the first 2 corners of the track then. Now through the left-hander we go then. Heading down the pit straight now then on the down the back straight. Is Hamilton going to try and line him up in towards turn number 3? No, again. Single file. Not close enough to make a pass on Max Verstappen that time around. As they go through the left-hander now then. Hamilton trying to pile the pressure on Verstappen now then as they go flat out through the right-hander. As Hamilton now then looking to the outside of the track. It's going to get close. Hamilton trying to do what Ricciardo did a little earlier on in the race, but isn't able to pull it off. Verstappen says no to that. Hamilton now trying to line him up perhaps for pass down in towards turn 9. Can he line up the Dutchman for pass into the right-hander? Tried to have a little look, but wasn't able to make the move stick. That time around, he tried to have a little go at that corner, but wasn't able to make the move stick. Through towards left-hander, up towards the chicane. Hamilton looking to the outside of Max Verstappen, tucks back into his slipstream now then. He is trying everything to pile the pressure on the Dutchman. Maybe in towards the 4th to last corner. Is Hamilton able to get a run on Verstappen now then up towards that corner now then. Hamilton tucks up. He looks to the inside. Is Hamilton got the place of Verstappen down the inside? And he does. Hamilton up into 3rd place. He gets onto the podium. He pushes Verstappen down to 4th place and Hamilton up to 3rd. Next target is his teammate Fernando Alonso, and he's got, well, including the next lap, 5 laps in which to chase down and pass his teammate for 2nd place in this race at the moment. The win is definitely now out of the question for these guys because this man has only 5 laps left before he gets Martini's first Grand Prix victory in IFMC. And, well, Martini may look to be a threat this season in the championship. And, well, they've definitely made their new partnership with Ferrari work to perfection this season. And they definitely have a strong lineup to counteract that as well. And, well, Etihad might have their wits with them this season to try and beat the Martinis this season. As the last 3 seasons they've been battling with an Audi-powered team for the championship. And this season it looks like the battle is going to be with a Ferrari-powered team this season for the Etihads. But we will wait and see as through the right-hander goes Verstappen, trying his best to close up on to Lewis Hamilton. Well, he's losing time to Hamilton as Hamilton trying his best to close up onto teammate Alonso as they go through turn 9 and 10 now on the track. Alonso getting as close to the wall as possible to get the best traction. They're coming up to a bit of traffic in the form of Antonio Giovinazzi's Bud Light Line Motorsport car as they'll now go up towards the chicane, and Alonso doing the business at the moment here in Australia. And well, that's that really, just checking the lap that we're on, lap 54. So Ocon will have 4 laps to go when he crosses the line to start lap 55 or 58 here in Melbourne. And we'll have a look in a little bit what the gap is like between the 2 teammates of Hamilton and Alonso here as they'll now go up towards the final 2 corners on the track. And so let's see then, Hamilton now then up towards the final corner, and let's see if Hamilton out goes Sebastian Vettel. Vettel is out of the race. His Melbourne jinx has come back to haunt him. What has happened to Sebastian Vettel? And there he is. It's a puncher for Vettel. A puncher is taking care of Sebastian Vettel. And well, luckily he'll be classified because he has completed 90% of the race distance. But still, yet again, for the 4th successive season, Vettel pulls off with a problem. And he's out of the race, and we're down to 16 runners as a result. Alonso now then down towards turn 1 on the track as Ocon continues to lead the race out in front at the moment as they go through the right-hander. Confirmation that Vettel is out of the race. And well, that's that really for EMR as one of their cars pulls off, not due to mechanical problems but thanks to a puncher. And one of their cars still in the points at the moment in 5th place in the form of Nico Hulkenberg, but he's the only EMR running in this race. Meantime now Hamilton closing right up now to the backside of Fernando Alonso's Etihad. And the 2 Etihads looking to battle it out for 2nd place. Through the right-hander they go. Hamilton trying to pile the pressure. He has some traffic in front which could help him out if he's lucky enough. As they go through these corners out there, it's getting the conditions getting quite worse out there on the track at the moment as they now go through the right and left hander now then. Hamilton trying his best to get Alonso in front as they now go through these next section of corners through the chicane. And out the corner then, trying to get up close to the back of Alonso. Can he try and grab second off him now then? Before the end of the race, he could try and line him up for a pass down the pit straight. And, well, it's not over yet for these guys. In fact, the leader has ran off, but for the rest of the positions, it's not quite over yet, as they now go up towards the final 2 corners on the track, and they're slowly closing up to that bit of traffic now, which has Giovinazzi on the end of it, and also in front is one of the monster cars. Can't quite tell which one it is. Probably Brendan Hartley, but we'll see. As now at the final corner then goes Hamilton. He's trying to line up Alonso for a pass. This is going to be P2 for Hamilton. He tucks up into the slipstream of his teammate now. Then he tucks up. Is Hamilton going to look to the inside? Alonso goes defensive in towards turn 1, and rightly so. Alonso keeps hold of second place for the time being, as they both go through turns 1 and 2 now then on the track. Out the corner now then up towards the right-hander we go. Is Hamilton going to try and get Alonso this time around? Hamilton tucks up into the slipstream of Alonso, but not close enough to make a pass that time around, and has to wait a little bit longer. Then this traffic could help the pair of them out, as Hamilton sizing up Alonso for a pass now then down in towards this right-hander now then. Hamilton trying everything he can to get Alonso into this corner now then. Hamilton looking to the outside, not close enough. Alonso shutting the door there, maybe up towards turn 1 is turn 9, sorry, is that where Hamilton is going to get the move done. He tucks up onto the Spaniard slipstream. He tucks up. He looks to the inside. Is Hamilton going to grab second from his teammate down the inside into turn 9? And he does it. Hamilton up into second place. He gets the place off his teammate, and up into P2 goes Lewis Hamilton. And Verstappen trying to capitalise if he can, but still not close enough to the backside there of Fernando Alonso's Etihad, as they now go through the chicane. But Hamilton up into P2. And that is that really. As a result, will Verstappen try and close up onto the back of Alonso? Meantime, I believe Ocon has started his penultimate lap here in Australia, but in fact, 2nd to 4th are still quite grouped together due to this traffic that's in front. Hamilton getting held up by Giovinazzi's Bud Light Line Motorsport car as they approach the final 2 corners. Hamilton puts a lap there on Giovinazzi, and that could have proved costly. Alonso trying to pull a lap on Giovinazzi now, but he lost time because Giovinazzi didn't leave in the space of Verstappen. Can he try and capitalise and get Alonso for P3? As a result, coming out of the final corner, Verstappen trying to close up on Fernando Alonso, trying to grab third off him, but not close enough to get him. The BMW engine still stronger than the Ferrari down the straight. But in the brakes, Verstappen looked like he braked that a little bit later than what Alonso did, trying to grab the podium if he can now then, as he head down the back straight towards turn 3 on the track. And again, Verstappen not close enough to make a pass that time around as they go through the right-hander now then. Verstappen trying everything in his grasp to get Alonso, and again he's not going to be close enough to make a pass possibly into this right-hander here, where Ricardo pulled that amazing move off Ricardo pulled that amazing move off Raikkonen a little bit earlier on in the race. And again, Verstappen not close enough that time around, not looking close enough to get him up towards turn 9 that time around. And maybe has to wait a little bit longer, and only possibly will only have one more lap to get the move done on Fernando Alonso. Meantime, here is Esteban Ocon in the Martini, who's just going around the final 2 corners then on the track, and around the final corner he goes, and Ocon is about to start his final lap here in Melbourne, and it's been a fantastic race for the young Frenchman. He started in 3rd place. He didn't get a good start initially, but due to his light fuel load, he was able to pick off his teammate and the 2 Etihads in front. And as a result, he made the strategy work to perfection to have a big lead out in front. And he is looking good to get his first victory since the Season 2 Japanese Grand Prix, and Martini's first ever victory in IFMC history in only their 2nd season in IFMC, pretty much doing a Bud Light Line Motorsport from last season. And well, their first race with Ferrari power is going to be a success for them, as they put a lap on another fellow Ferrari team in the form of Sergio Perez in the Eldorado. Ocon getting through on him there, no such blunders like in real life, but Ocon putting a lap on him there, but he's just done a fabulous job making the strategy work. As meantime now, we've got to go back to his teammate, because his teammate now looking to the inside of Fernando Alonso. Has he got the move stick? And he has done, just missing the backside there of Giovinazzi, and Verstappen up into third place. Both Martinis are onto the podium. Alonso gets pushed out as a result, and up into third place goes Max Verstappen in the Martini. And, well, both Martinis find themselves onto the podium as he's now trying to pull a lap on Giovinazzi, but that could bring back Alonso into this fight. And, well, where is Ocon on the track? Whereabouts is he on the track? He's actually coming up towards the fourth to last corner. Are we able to grab these two before the end? And we can't, because the car has got in between that battle. Giovinazzi has separated Verstappen. Verstappen looking good to get the podium. But meantime, here is Esteban Ocon. Up towards the final two corners he goes. And it's just been the perfect race for Esteban Ocon. He made the strategy work around the final corner, and it is going to be Esteban Ocon who wins the Australian Grand Prix. Congratulations to him and the Martini Motorsport team. He takes his first win since season 2, and he takes Martini's first ever Grand Prix victory. Well done to the Italian team. A team run by Cameron Anderson in only their second season in the series, and they get their first Grand Prix victory. AMP's nightmares have come true. Lewis Hamilton with a fantastic comeback after that pit stop he made towards the end. He's going to cross the line in second. Not quite the victory, but I guess he'll take it nonetheless. Hamilton crosses the line in second. And Verstappen is going to cross the line in third, making it a 1-3 for Martini. So not only will Ocon take an early lead in the championship, Martini takes an early lead in the Constructors as well. Alonso finishes in fourth. Hulkenberg is going to cross the line fifth in the EMR. So it's fifth place for Nico Hulkenberg. It's going to be sixth for Kevin Magnussen. So some good points for Magnussen after what had been a tricky preseason testing. He's going to cross the line in sixth place in the end. And it's a brilliant race from Kevin Magnussen. And so that's that then, really, to go through the final two corners on the track. Magnussen is going to cross the line in sixth place in the end to get 3 points on the board for Suomi, and his teammate is going to cross the line in seventh, making it 5 points for Suomi. Sixth place will go to Kevin Magnussen. Seventh place will go to Kimi Raikkonen, his teammate. So a double points finish for Suomi in the end. And it's going to be eighth for Carlos Sainz Jr. in the Shadow. Shadow get 1 point in this race. And in his first top class race, Carlos Sainz Jr. crosses the line in 8th. And the boys at Shadow have got to be happy about that one. 8th place for Carlos Sainz Jr. Brendan Hartley, an impressive 9th after only qualifying 17th. And then it is Van Dorn who finishes in 10th. And there you have it then. In the end, Esteban Ocon takes his first Grand Prix victory since season 2 at the Japanese Grand Prix, and takes Martini's first ever Grand Prix victory. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here is the result of a very exciting Australian Grand Prix. Esteban Ocon won the race with Lewis Hamilton second, Max Verstappen third, with Fernando Alonso fourth. Nico Hulkenberg was in fifth, with Kevin Magnussen sixth, Kimi Raikkonen 7th, Carlos Sainz Jr. in 8th, Brendan Hartley 9th, Stoffel Van Dorn in 10th, with Sergio Perez in 11th, Daniel Ricciardo in 12th, with Valtteri Bottas 13th, Oliver Rowland in 14th position. And if you scroll down the rest of the field, it is Antonio Giovinazzi 15th, Jean-Eric Vergne 16th, Sebastian Vettel was classified in 17th place in the end. And the retirements were Romain Grosjean, Scott Dixon, Pascal Wehrlein, Ed Jones and Charles Leclerc. They were the retirements of the Australian Grand Prix. So let's see who set the fastest lap of the race. And it was Nico Hulkenberg with a 1 minute 36.316. He set the fastest lap of the race. He was 7 tenths clear of teammate Sebastian Vettel. So the team had some good pace. It was just bad luck that infringed them today. But guys, that has been it from the Australian Grand Prix. I hope you've enjoyed it. It has been a very exciting race here in Australia, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. I'm sorry for the technical problems that happened, but still, you can't deny this was a fantastic race nonetheless. The podium for this will be coming up in just a little bit, the return of the podiums. But anyway, guys, that has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you then, guys, next weekend at the Brazilian Grand Prix in Sao Paulo for round 2 of the championship. But until then, I've been JWF1. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next weekend. Until then, take care and enjoy the podium.